Hello, I'm Jim Kay, president of Richland Country Club. There are very few men in America that do anything for 60 years, and this presentation honors one of those great men, Mr. Billy Hancock. I sit today in the Hancock room here at the club, which has been dedicated to Mr. Hancock for his integrity, his honor, and his lifelong gifts to Richland Country Club. On behalf of the board of directors, I hope that you enjoy this presentation.
I told my name is Billy Hancock. I said, no kin to Herbie Hancock and nothing like that.
Billy's a very, very unique person in a lot of ways.
He was good at remembering names, I will say that.
He is the mayor of Richland.
Mr. Billy always provided the nice touch of hospitality, making Richland so very, very welcoming.
Billy was Richland to me.
Even if it could be the first time or for the 1000th time, he's always got that same energy, that positive energy. I've never seen him really down in the dumps or just sad. He's always been happy.
He's always nice, makes an effort to come and find me, and he's just always got a smile on his face and laughs a lot.
He is Mr. Richland.
You know, smile is worth gold. And the people who do it naturally, people who have that on their face as a natural, get further in life than people who don't.
He's just such a good person. You know, all the good things that a human should be, Billy is.
He's charming, he's intuitive, but he's all about respect for himself and for other people.
You know, if a person doesn't like Billy Hancock, there's something wrong with him.
And my first job was at Hermitage Hotel. The guy asked me, said, we need a bus boy here. I said, you think you can make a bus boy? Well, I know what a bus boy was. I thought he was going to be drive a bus. I didn't know what he was doing. I would do that and then 10 bar from the old club, work extra, 10 bar at night after the Hermitage. And that's when you had the Atlantic Ice Company down there, well, the ballpark down there. That's when they brought the ices in, them great big ice pails and everything, put them on there, bring them in. I'd have to chip the ice, go on the beer. I went to cook school in Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. Where's Fort Lewis, because that's joining the Air Force, Army base. And I worked at the Officers Club. I went to Anchorage, Alaska. And come back in 56, I believe it was 56. And I wound up out here. They promoted me to Major D. But at that time, we had a manager by the name of Sorrell. So he didn't work on Sunday, and I worked on Sundays all my life, working on Sundays. Everybody else come in, get off on Sunday, and I'd be working on Sundays. So he told me, he said, you know what? I said, you're doing a good job. I said, I don't like to work on Sunday. He said, you come in every Sunday and see you're in charge of everything. So I come on every Sunday and go to work. And worked up for the last few years on Sundays. We worked by the meal. If you come in and work that morning, you set up for lunch, you made $2. And if you come back that night, you made $3. And if you worked the dance that night, which was longer, you made $7. And that's all you can make. That was all of it. Well, you know, I used to work at a clothing store years ago, Joseph Frankenstein. Well, at that time, I didn't have no clothes. So that's what got my taste to them. See, now, when I was wearing clothes when I was a young kid, my mother had to patch my clothes, my coats and everything. And now they're buying the patches already on them. See? And I've always been partial to ties. Now I got no ties. You see my queen size quilt. Did you ever see that queen size quilt I made out? They made it me. I got that. and I don't know how many ties. But I've always said when I got grown, I was gonna wear a tie every day. And then I went in the military. That hit me along too. But I had to wear a tie every day too. So that's why I've been wearing ties every day. I still like it regardless.
He comes in and he's dressed better than anybody else in the club. And everybody talks about his ties, but I love his tie clips.
And my job was supposed to be telling them they got to have a coat on. Well, I bought some coats out and put them on the back of the chair. I didn't even tell them nothing. Some gentleman, I said, you make more money than me. You go and tell them. I said, I'll take the coat and put it on the back of the chair and then take them there. I don't care what to do then. So that's what I did.
Criticize them. If you see somebody like a server walk by that's not dressed right, or their clothes are all wrinkly, or their pants are hanging down, he'll look at them like that and he'll go, who is that? He'll want to know all about them. And he'll go, what do they think? He was just very meticulous about everybody else, the way they should look too.
About 1913, Richland Club, Edwin Warner and Percy Warner, who owned the property which is now today Belmead, made an offer to what was then called the Nashville Golf Club to build them a new golf course and a new clubhouse on the new, we know today is Belmead Boulevard. And the first site they picked, it wasn't big enough down around Deer Park Circle, so they found another spot further out where the club is located today. And about half the membership moved out to become members of the new Belmead Club. At that point in time, both clubs wanted to use the name, the golf club, the Nashville Golf Club. And a judge ruled then that neither one of them could use it, and nobody else could ever use the name Nashville Golf Club anymore. If it did, it would revert back to the original owners of the property. Both clubs, Belmead and Richland, trace their history back to, I think, 1905 or 1906, when it was originated as the Nashville Golf Club. And they still use that logo, founded 1906 or 1905, maybe it's 1905. Back then, there were really 5 people that sort of ran this club. It's very interesting. Charlie Danner was the golf pro. He was a legend in the South. He finally left Richland and became the greenkeeper at Atlanta Athletic Club and put in the first bent grass greens in the South at Richland Club. And then they were so impressed at the Atlanta Athletic Club that they hired Charlie to come down there, not to be the golf pro, but to be the head greenskeeper. And he put in the first bent grass greens in the city of Atlanta.
And he ain't allowed nothing on him. He thought he owned the club. I guess he did. And back in those days, everybody figured he only did everything he wanted to do.
Landon Cheek, who was the caddy master and ran the pro shop, and then waited on tables on big Sundays and buffet days and that sort of thing. Pearline ran the kitchens, all the kitchens. Pearline was the executive chef.
The only female chef that ever been in Richland Club that I know anything about. She had to touch everything come out of the kitchen.
And then Dean was the maitre d', and he was here for 25 or 30 years. And then the last one was Billy Hancock.
The people that were in charge at the time we moved here, sold the old property and moved here, were either visionaries or just lucky as hell, because the location that they chose was in large measure a lot of the reason for success now.
Being honest with you, that first time, no, I didn't think they needed to move because I'd been established out there. I didn't want to move. But this was the best thing that ever happened. You had older members out there. They couldn't play golf. They didn't have the money and didn't have the time to spend with the club.
Well, the old club was great. I'd never been in a country club at all before until I walked into Richland on the West End. And the funny thing is about that is all I could think about when I walked in the door was Caddyshack.
Well, the old club was the Ryan home. Ryan. I guess the same people who were responsible for Ryan High School. And when then Richland, they put it up for sale, and Richland bought it because the golf course was already there, and they just had a little wooden building, not much of a clubhouse. And this was a step up for them. The Ryan home was a big old, I think it was brick, had all kinds of room and staircase, and a low room that became the tap room. And in fact, my mother said that she never did like the clubhouse anymore since they sent the men off and the ladies couldn't go to the men's room. The tap room was now forbidden.
A lot of things you get by with then, you couldn't get by with now. It's like Jimmy Cook, Jimbo's daddy. You know Jimbo's daddy? Every time we have a dance, he won't sing Sioux City Sioux. And they didn't want to sing nothing. So he got up and got to fighting out there because when they sang Sioux City Sioux.
I'm not saying anything. I'm denying everything.
Well, some of those cigar parties were a lot of fun because it was just the men, of course, but some of them would show up in smoking jackets, which I'd never seen anybody do that before. I thought you just did that at home. And they would have scotch tastings, and they would have the tables set up kind of like a banquet, like a U shape, and they would all be lined up and have the table in the middle with the cigars and all the scotches for them to try and everything. And just the atmosphere was just jovial, and fun. And they just thought it was the greatest thing for them to be able to do that. But the guy showing up in the smoking jacket was the one, I'll never forget that one.
I've been fortunate enough to have served on the board of directors. I was the president in the early 90s when we were battling the slides and the litigation, and it was a very interesting time. Of course, we overlaid that because of the economic downturn at the time, so we lost a significant number of members. But the beauty of it is that we fast forward 20 years later, and Richland has recovered completely and done extremely well with a now full complement of members, a magnificent golf course, a wonderful clubhouse, and most importantly, an array of members, I think, that's without peer in this community.
We got more kids in this club right now than we ever had in history.
We have the best manager we could ever want.
I've been here leading the operations at Richland for just over a year. But what strikes me about Billy and honoring his 60th year, very soon I celebrate my 40th year in the private club business, servicing and providing for members and patrons of country clubs. And so to understand that Billy Hancock has been doing this for 60 years at one location is, for me, incredible. You cannot replace Billy Hancock.
I can't remember. Woo-Woo's real name was Marion Clark. And he called me kid, and he was my parents' favorite waiter. He was the one that would come over to our club, and over to our house to help him on Christmas parties and stuff. Woo-Woo, and I can't remember some of those stories, but one time they set up a deal where there was a robbery. I can't remember it exactly.
Jimbo Cook's daddy, Jimmy Cook, in case you know him, and Pete Gracie, I don't know if you know Pete Gracie, and Hayes Noel. Well, they went downstairs and tied old Woo-Woo up on the bench down there. And they didn't hurt him nothing. They left some money on the bench, tied it with a rat tail and tied him up down there. So they had a big transom over the men's locker room. You get everything the men said in the locker room. So Pearline coming that morning early, getting ready for the kitchen. So she hears somebody that said, "Woo, woo." And she said, "What is that over there?" She went out there and got two of the caddies coming in. And one of them said, Leo said, I don't know what he's saying, but somebody, she said, "We want to see what that is in there." And the woo woo are tied up. They tied him up in there. That's where he got his name, Woo Woo.
Woo couldn't read or write. I mean, in other words, you come up and if you came up and ordered something from him, you know, say, "I want a hamburger," and somebody would go around the table. He just remembered.
And one man changed seats on the table, and Woo put it down and said, you were sitting over here a while ago." We had a waiter here. He passed away here about last year. His name was Frison. He went all out dressing red leather suits.
Yellow leather suit.
White leather suit, snakeskin boots, cowboy hat on.
And he wore hats with feathers in them. He looked like a rooster, really, walking into the club.
He had more boots and rubber shoes than any man in this club. And diamond rings, cowboy hats. And he'd always do something different from anybody else, being the employee here. He wouldn't park over the main shop. He parked up on the hill and walked down here, walked across the golf course. Man hit a golf ball and hit it and knocked his head off his head.
All Billy would do when you talked about Frierson was laugh. I mean, he thought Frierson was the funniest thing, and he was.
One of the funniest things I've seen, your guy walked off in the pool down there. he come around at night. I guess he'd taking a shortcut going up to his car. He walked off in the pool.
He kind of taught me the ropes, and he would work the day shift and I'd come in and work the night shift. And that's how I kind of, you know, got into working with the membership and learning the ropes and everything. And Frierson is another story, but we don't want to go there.
There won't never be another Frierson. But them are some days.
Children have a great BS antenna. I guess I can say that. I think most children do have good instincts about people who approach them.
And I've been around kids all my life.
Well, we didn't have kids when we joined, and I just, you know, always realized how much he loved the kids around and how they all lit up, and he made them all just sort of part of the fabric here at Richland.
But all the kids are nice here, I think. Because I get along with all the kids, every last one of them.
Even the little bitty children that don't know him yet and he hasn't participated in their life at all are drawn to him instantly. He has like this little magical thing about him that emits to children, you know, and they love him immediately. And they'll go over and the little boys will go like this and shake his hand like a little man would, you know, and the little girls will go and hug him.
He's very approachable. And I think that that's something that's so unique because especially when you're in an environment of a lot of high-class people, sometimes as a little kid, it's kind of like be seen and not heard. But Billy was like always wanting to hear about your life and all the little things that we were excited about.
But it's fun though after you bring kids up like that and they still remember you. So I put kids in high chairs, now they bring their kids out here.
Well, he's very non-threatening. I mean, you know, he never would, you know, come up to him. He just kind of, you know, meandered in like he does, slow walking, and would speak to the parents and then always speak to the children, and the children saw how gentle he was. And, you know, with children, that's all. It only takes, you get one chance with them. If they're scared of you the first time, they're going to be scared of you forever.
He's kind, and he's done a lot for this country club. He's run it for like 20 years.
Perfect. Okay.
And
70 years.
No,
Yes,
he's
sir.
only 60. And
So for 50 years.
You know, Billy, he is about kind of the on-staff babysitter. Every kid wants to be around him every time he's walking around here.
When I first saw him, he came up to me and greeted me and had a smile on his face and has known me ever since.
Billy's really good with kids. And I remember even when I was 8 years old, or 9 years old, that's where I got to know him. I mean, that's, you know, because his personality was great. And he's really good with children, and he is to this day. And so I think parents and then kids, everybody loves Billy.
And I've never seen a child afraid of Billy. I've never seen one cry and run to mama or dad. He just doesn't affect them that way.
There ain't but one kid I didn't get along with. He didn't get along with me. Herbert Husband's grandson. And of course, he didn't know any better. He was always scared of me. But now he's my first buddy. I just started out cutting the cakes, and that figures my job, I cut them all.
10 years ago, my daughter was married, and we had the reception here at the Richland Club. And as we were planning the reception, one of the first actions that she did was to come over here and see Mr. Hancock and ask Mr. Billy if he would honor her by cutting her cake.
I got the name of being a cake cutter around here, so I cut them. Of course, I enjoyed it.
Billy said, now anytime you come, you let me know, and I'll make sure to get you a piece of cake, because he'll sneak the cake away from the wedding party and bring it to the kids.
Well, Billy has been cutting cakes at Richland for the 60 years. He's the cake cutter. And everyone knows they have to. People will call him and say, will you come and cut a cake for a celebration at my house? Or will you go to another place where the wedding is happening to cut the cake? So that he is the cake cutter. And he's so funny about it because he'll tell me when people walk in, he'll say, I did their wedding. Yeah, I did their wedding. And so he considers it really cutting the cake. You're doing the wedding, you know, because everybody wants cake and he's the one taking care of them.
Everybody wants a Billy drink.
Love Billy drinks.
Everybody come down to you, I want a Billy drink.
Grenadine and Sprite.
With a cool straw.
Cherries.
I think it's a Shirley Temple, but it tastes better because the name's Billy in it, and it's about a guy here and a guy I know.
When she would walk into the club, the first thing that she would look for was Mr. Billy, so that he could get the very special Mr. Billy drinks.
Everybody here at Richland's had one, and he'd let the kids come back in the kitchen, make the drink with him.
He was always making Shirley Temples, which morphed into Billy drinks, of course, you know, and it morphed into Frozen for a while. And
Wasn't up to cherry juice back in those days. It was cherry juice and 7-Up over crushed ice. So then, cherry juice got so high, you drain all the juice out and you had nothing but cherries left. You couldn't keep on doing it. So it started getting grenadine. You know, it's coming in a bottle by the liquor store. Grenadine. And that's where the Billy drink started.
we have our Jimbo, who is definitely from the old club, but he's also one of the people who Billy used to make Billy drinks for when he was little. So, I mean, I pick on Billy. I said, see, you got Billy, Jimbo started a long time ago. You started serving him Billy drinks and they turned into cocktails.
And when I got to be 17, 18 years old, I'd come in and order maybe a gin, some gin drink. It was kind of fruity thing. I don't know what the hell. It sneaked me a gin drink. I was like a senior in high school at MBA, and I know he helped, and Woo would help me get one.
You can make it out of anything and call it Billy Special. The kids would go for it. You got to have a personality around the country club. You should have one. Of course, no matter how much personality you got, somebody's not going to like you, but you can take care of that. Ones you don't like, treat them good anyway. They don't know the difference. Well, you know, you got to treat everybody like you want to be treated yourself. That's the main thing. Always be willing to help them out. If they need something, try to get it done. That's the main thing. And it didn't cost nothing to smile. If you could, I couldn't make a down payment on it. I worked every New Year's party, every Thanksgiving Day, every Mother's Day since I've been in this club. If you're a new member, it really, makes him feel good to go around and speak to him, introduce myself to him. Like I told one guy, he's a young fella, and I went around his table and introduced myself to him. I told him my name is Billy Hancock. I said, I'm no kin to Herbie Hancock or nothing like that. I said, I'm one of the poor Hancocks. John Hancock, no kin to him either. But I said, I'm one of the poor Hancocks. The main thing is making people feel welcome when they come out to the club. And take care of the ladies and kids, you got it made. Men don't care too much. They care too, but they don't take things serious. Ain't nothing no worse than doing something you don't want to do. And that's doing something else you don't want to do. And somebody asked me the other day, said, are you going to retire? I said, retire? I don't know. You have to ask them. I can't tell you that. I said, I need a job now. Wasn't did 60 years ago. After 60 years, I'm getting used to everything now.
We would go in the grill to eat on Sunday evenings. And Billy would come up, and before we had been there 3 times, he knew Sarah's name, my name, asked about what we were doing, and would always offer Sarah, as you know, the Billy drink.
Billy was also very helpful with older members. At the old club, Francis Harwell, Julius Harwell.
That's exactly right.
And they lived maybe 3 houses down on whatever that street
Elmington.
is. Elmington that
Avenue.
fed into the other one. And when he died, Billy would always take Miss Harwell home, make sure she got in safe and things like that. And I mean, he was that way. When Daddy got really daughtery, he was always very helpful. And you just appreciate people that care about the people you care about.
Yes, one of my favorite experiences is being with Mr. Billy because he was always there for me.
My law school alumni class out here for our alumni dinner, and that's a big deal. Well, we had it in the Billy Hancock room. It hadn't been the Billy Hancock room too long then, but the picture of Billy was up there. And I mean, Billy charmed everybody. And he stood up there and laughed with them about his picture and that he was a lot better looking. But one of the classmates who was here was a federal judge from Arkansas and from Little Rock. And we were thinking about having it again this past year. We were all Quinks, 50 years from Vanderbilt. And he said, well, can we have it in Billy Hancock's room? I want to see him again. That tells you so much about Billy. I didn't mention Billy. He mentioned Billy.
My favorite story about Billy is the time my mother, Billy was still just a waiter. And my mother came over here for lunch one day, as she did often, and she ordered a hamburger and chess pie. And she told the waiter that she wanted them brought out together. So, deal was made. Well, they came, but there was no chess pie.
So she said, hey, where's my pie at? So I said, I'm gonna stay and got a pie. She eats a pie and eat a sandwich later on. She said, you know who I am? I said, no, ma'am, I don't know who you are. She said, I'm Miss Horner. She said, anytime I come in here and I order dessert.
I wanted with my hamburger.
I said, yes, ma'am.
So Mother became known as the lady who ate chess pie with a hamburger.
One night, my mom took CT to the bathroom, and my dad went up to the bar to watch a game. And Mr. Billy walked by and gave me this giant cup of M&Ms.
M&Ms. Okay, it's not M&Ms.
M&Ms. And he said for my parents not to know, so I hid it, and I think I still have 1 or 2 M&Ms left.
I can't remember much stuff because I have short-term memory loss.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
My husband and I were here every weekend, every Friday and or Saturday night. And we had people with us who were members. And they both loved the banana pudding. But they complained because there were not enough vanilla wafers. Well, they complained so long that one time Billy brought out, you'll have to forgive me, I still laugh when I think about this. We were on the balcony and it was loaded with people. And he had the banana pudding in a big bowl stacked, for each one of them, stacked with vanilla wafers. And he had a box, a box of vanilla wafers. We had more fun with Billy that day.
You know, I used to do that James Brown show, and I'd go to rock and roll shows. I saw him 17 times, literally studied him.
Jimbo Cook used to do James Brown all the time.
During when the Billy Hancock room, it was made from the Richland room to Billy Hancock, and the picture was here. There were many, many, many guests, and some people were standing, and, you know, fortunately we had squirreled a place to sit, and everybody was making speeches to Billy. And, you know, after a while, speeches get a little boring. So Billy finally was introduced, and I thought, oh, Billy, don't talk long. He gave the best speech I ever heard. He stood up and said, thank y'all, and sat down.
Oh, yeah, every funeral. When I first started here, he went to funerals almost every day because that was about the time when the people that he was the closest with, 10 years ago, those people were starting to you know, and he didn't mind going. He told me a story last week about the people at the funeral. They said, do you work here, some of them? You know, because we see you all the time here. They thought he was part of the staff, and he was going to pay his respects.
It's his love of people. He just loves the people here. I know I've been several times to hospitals to see people through the years. Almost every time I'd run into Billy, visiting somebody. And when my husband died, he was one of the first persons there at the visiting funeral home. And so he's just a gracious, kind man.
He goes to every funeral that he can. When someone passes away, he's there. He's like the Richland ambassador, you know. He's always there, you know, and he'll always ask me if I'm going, or he'll show me the obituary, and he'll talk about that person to me, and he knows everything about them and their relatives, and, you know, the good and the bad, you know, and he tells me everything.
Well, he is very proud of this year and of, you know, being here 60 years. Billy, the year of Billy, this 2016, he started in 1956, and he is, one of the things that they did when we first told him that it was going to happen, we told him that he would have to be here on a certain day because they were going to honor him for being 60 years at work, and this was going to be the year of Billy. And he just was speechless. He was speechless, and he's not ever speechless. It was like, they're doing all this for me. And then the day that we had it, we had a brunch where we told all the members that they had to make it was on a Sunday, and he was coming with he brought his wife, and we had a photographer who took pictures of him with all those people, and he stood the entire day, never stopped smiling, never stopped being so proud. He's really, really proud of the 60 years and what everyone here appreciates him so much for that too. Billy interacts with the staff in the same way for anyone, whether it's their first day or they've been here for 25, 30 years. And he cares about every one of them. But the funniest thing that he does is he gives them, as soon as he starts to realize a little bit about them, he gives them a nickname. And he calls people by his favorite little nicknames, and the people just love it. They love it. And some of the things are not that endearing, but because he's doing it with him, with his way, you know, like one of them is tiny and moving around all the time, and he'll say, okay, Pee-wee, slow down. And he calls him Pee-wee, you know. It's so cute. Everything. He interacts with everyone with a lot of joy, a lot of love, everyone. It doesn't matter who. that every day that I get to see him, I can't wait to see him. And when he walks in the front door and that smile and that sweet, sweet, hey, Donna. And if I'm behind the front desk and he can't see me, he'll go, Donna, where are you? And it just warms my heart. And the funny thing now is every time people come up and say, hi, Mr. Billy, and he'll look at me and say, I don't know who they are, but they know me. And I'll say, everybody knows you.
He makes a special effort to come and talk to you and ask about what's going on in your life and share that smile and that perspective that is special about Billy.
The manager, Marcus, used to work here. I asked him once, is Billy your dad?
And Marcus is my contemporary. And so Billy got a big kick out of that. And so every time Campbell sees Billy, Billy says, I wonder how Marcus is doing. And he says, you know, you used to think that he was my daddy.
I have had membership at other clubs, and I have never run across anyone who captured the hearts of the children and across multiple generations. And if you talk to Mr. Hancock about his touches, here's a gentleman that the governor stopped down on 8th Avenue in his limousine and asked Mr. Hancock if he needed a lift somewhere. And it was Governor Buford Ellington. And Billy replied, no, sir, no, Governor, I've got it. And I don't think there's another character in the city that kind of fits the model that he has delivered. His shoes are way too large for anyone to have filled.
First time I remember meeting Mr. Billy, I was with my parents, and I was probably 3 or 4, and he came over and he was talking to us, and he brought me candy because it was a Sunday night and the buffet was here, and so he brought me some gummy bears and I ate them, and that was the first memory of me talking to him. He's just always been there. Every stage of my life, just him walking in the dining room and running to give him a hug and telling him about my life and all the, little things that were so significant at the time that were probably trivial in the big picture, but he's always been there. I just can't remember a time when he wasn't there.
When I was president, we were suffering through difficult economic times. We were looking for ways to curtail expenses and watch expenses and how we were doing things. And as we looked at ways to cut costs, one thing we knew for sure, that Mr. Hancock's status at this club was inviolate. And he was such an integral part of the history, the culture, and who we are and whom we want to be.
Billy Hancock couldn't have been 22, 23 years old when I first met Billy. When I was about 13 or 14, we came to a fraternity party, formal dance over here one night, and Billy was the bartender in the other room where the members congregated, and the party was not being held. And I went over to see Billy and talked him into making us a couple of pink ladies. He made us go out to the 18th green to, we were underage drinking, but Billy was taking care of the members' sons and that sort of thing even then.
We reminisce about, he and I will get together every now and then, talk about the old days, talk about people and people that work there and remember. And it gets so tickled, I get so tickled with him now because he'll be, and he's got a sweet wife, Mary. She's really sweet. But I get so tickled with him now that he'll start remembering people that, back and start telling stories. And he'll get to talking and he'll get to laughing. And I don't understand what the hell the rest of the damn story is. When I got to playing poker or gin, we'd play till daybreak. It looked like it is outside now. And Billy would stay and he'd sleep on the couch. And then we'd wake him up when we left, that's what we would do. Of course, it was worth his while, we'd tip him well. But, whoever won would tip him well.
Billy, I'm so very proud to be working here hand in hand with you, watching the commitment every day that you provide for Richland Country Club, and more importantly, these members. The warmth they feel in their heart from the warmth and commitment that you show to them through your service to them is, I believe, the greatest testament that anyone in this service industry could hope to achieve. And for that, I'm eternally grateful to be working with you. Thank you, Billy.
Gosh, Billy, this has been a joy to hear people talk about you and to bring back memories of the first time you came by our table. My recollection is you paid me a compliment to my future husband at the time, and I think you said it behind my back, but not quite. You wanted me to hear it, and I appreciated it, and I appreciate you. God bless you.
Billy Hancock, you're the most awesome person I've ever met in my life. I love you dearly. I know there'll never be another Billy. You are so special to me, and I can't even express the feelings that you've given me and helped me to grow just by the way you are and how you live. I want to be like you when I grow up.
You know, I'd start out and just say, Billy, I've treasured, I've cherished the years that we have been members at Richland Club and have known you. You've meant a lot to our family. You've visited by our table thousands of times, and it's been a great journey.
Billy, thank you for all the years you've devoted to Richland, but just devoted to the people of Nashville and their friends and their families. And we're delighted that you're still here, and we appreciate everything you've done, and keep up the good work, and we hope to see you for many more years.
Mr. Billy, you have always been there for me. You're so funny, so nice, and I don't know what this country club would have done without you. We love you, Mr. Billy.
Mr. Billy, you're awesome, and I like you, and I like what you did to Ellen Mead because you shared 5 M&Ms with me.
You've given me so many good wishes, and my grandkids through the years, they've grown up with you. We've got pictures of you all the way to now, you with them. Now one of them's 6'4½", so he kind of looks down on you instead of looking up at you. But we love you, all of us. And it's just not the same if we come out here and you're not here that night. So be sure to be here next time I'm here, because I want to see you.
Billy, it has been a true privilege to know you all these years, and these have been special years for our family. We joined, as you recall, when Campbell was about 2 months old. And his memory and Graham, our daughter's memory of you and our family's place that we will hold you in our hearts forever will always be special. And so we appreciate the smile and the perspective that you have shared with our family, and we will treasure that forever.
It's been amazing knowing you. I love seeing you every time we're here. You'll be a very special memory of mine forever.
So, Billy, hope you're having a great day. We're having a great time just sitting here talking and reminiscing about you. The main thing we hope is that you're around for many, many more years so that you can be a member of all the young new members, Richland family.
Well, Billy, you've been an ambassador for Richland. Thank you for all that you've done and the warmth that you've exhibited to me and to my family, my extended family. And I pray that it carries over for generations to come. Secondly, if you ever do leave, would you please will your ties to me? I still love those magnificent, colorful ties. I wish you and Mary all the best. Much love, the Trellis.
I'm really proud of you, Mr. Billy, for having 60 years here at Richland, and I'm super excited to spend the next 60 with you.
Mr. Billy, thanks so much for always being there and making all my moments so special here at Richland. Congratulations on this incredible accomplishment. I love you.
Billy, congratulations on 60 years.
Billy, you got to stop calling everybody else Tootsie. I'm Tootsie.
Well, Billy, it's been a real pleasure to know you all these years, and I hope that we have an association for many, many more. Um, you are a special person, even if you weren't at Richland Country Club. And I know you know that, and a lot of other people know that too. But it's been my honor to be your friend.
Billy Hancock, it's your old buddy Jimbo for 60 years, I guess it's now been. You know, we've had a lot of laughs together. You still tickle me today when we start talking about those old people like, you know, from Hayes Jakes to Mel Bounds to Pete Gracie to my father and so forth, and you get so tickled. And I just want to tell you how much I love you and what you've meant to me. I've been blessed to know you we've been friends for 60 years, and that's exactly what we've been, and I love you.
Billy, one more thing. Soon we'll be unveiling another portrait of you that signifies your service to this fine club, Richland Country Club. And on this portrait, there's a biblical verse from the New Testament, that of Luke. And I'm going to read it to you, Billy, if you don't mind. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who is at the table? But I'm among you as the one who serves. I think that sums it up, Billy, how this club treasures you. Thank you again.
He was here for 60 years.
60.
I'm sorry, I get all nervous. Okay.
I'm Sloan Hurwitz.
Spell that for me.
SLOAN space HURWITZ. I don't know what salad he eats, but I do like salad. Well, I like this one because they have a nice bar here, and they have a picture of Billy. And then I like the wax room because I'm not allowed to go in there.
Yeah, there's a locker room kind of a thing going on. I've told people keep asking me, you should write a book, you should write a book. And I said, well, I can't write a book till everybody dies. I'd be in a lot of trouble. So I got to hold off on the book. Well, there's some Billy uh-oh moments that I probably can't talk about. Or I shouldn't talk about. He'll walk in the room and he'll see me, he'll go, hey, Tootsie, how you doing today? And then I thought, that was so great. He calls me Tootsie. And then the other day I saw him, he's calling somebody else Tootsie. So I was like, oh, well, there goes that. But we love him. I mean, because there's been some wild and crazy things. There's a lot of things that everybody knows about, like for New Year's Eve, people going down into the hot tub and getting caught. Things like that. But everybody knows about that one. They still pick on the people that they've caught doing that. So that's nothing, you know, that's a secret.
I'm not saying anything. I'm denying everything.
Campbell loves a party.
I'm not a lover of horses.
Yeah, right.
Finito?
And somebody asked me the other day, said, you know, said, are you going to retire? I said, retire? I don't know. You have to ask them. I can't tell you that. I said, I need a job now. Wasn't it 60 years ago? Oh, he said, Billy, I've been looking for you all over there.